You've been saving for 3 years. You are doing everything right. You've got the budget spreadsheet. You are packing lunches. You even canceled subscriptions you weren't using. You check your net worth tracker, and you are at 23,000. And you do the math in your head. At this rate, it is going to take you another 9 years to hit 100,000. 9 years. Meanwhile, you are watching people on the internet talk about going from 100K to 200K in like 18 months, and you are thinking, what am I doing wrong? Why does this feel impossible? Here is what nobody told you. You are not doing anything wrong. The first 100,000 is genuinely, mathematically, psychologically harder than every dollar that comes after it. And once you understand why, everything changes. My name is Jod, and I spend way too much time thinking about why the journey to 100,000 in net worth breaks most people before they ever get there. If you are someone who has been grinding away at saving and investing, but feels like you are pushing a boulder uphill with no end in sight, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because here is the thing. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner, once said that the first 100,000 is a bitch, and he wasn't exaggerating. But it is not just about discipline or sacrifice. There is actual math and psychology working against you that nobody explains. And I am going to break down exactly why this milestone is brutally difficult, and what you need to do to actually reach it. The math that is working against you. Look, let me start with the part that is going to make you feel both better and worse at the same time. Let's say you are 25 years old, and you start saving $500 a month. That is $6,000 a year. Pretty solid, right? You are being responsible. You invested in a basic SP 500 index fund, averaging 7 annual returns. After inflation, year 1, you contribute $6,000. With returns, you end the year with about $6,210. You earn $210 from your investments. Year 5, you've contributed $30,000 total. Your account balance is around $35,000. You've earned about $5,000 from investment returns over those 5 years. Here is the thing. That $5,000 in gains over 5 years, that is less than you are contributing in a single year. Your investment returns are barely moving the needle. You are doing all the work. But watch what happens later. Fast forward to when you hit 100,000. Now, that same 7 annual return generates $7,000 in a single year more than you are contributing annually. Your money is finally working harder than you are. At 200,000, that 7 return is $14,000 per year. At 300,000, it is $21,000 per year. Do you see what is happening? The first 100K is brutal, because you are in the phase where your contributions massively outweigh your returns. You are the engine, the compound interest everyone talks about. It is barely idling. Here is what most people don't realize. Getting from 0 to 100K might take you 12 to 15 years of consistent saving. But getting from 100K to 200K, that might only take 5 to 6 years, with the same contribution rate, because now compound interest is actually doing significant work. The psychological trap. Here is where it gets really interesting, and this is the part that breaks most people. When you are working toward 100,000, the progress is almost invisible on a month-to-month basis. You start with 0. After 6 months of saving $500 a month, you've got $3,000. Cool. After 12 months, you've got $6,200 or so. You are making progress, but it doesn't feel transformative. It doesn't feel like momentum. A study from the Journal of Behavioral Economics found that people are exponentially more likely to abandon financial goals when progress feels linear, rather than accelerating. And guess what? The journey to 100K is the definition of linear progress. You are checking your account and seeing it go from $18,500 to $19,200 over a month. That $700 increase. It is nice, but it doesn't trigger any psychological reward centers. It doesn't feel like you are winning. Compare that to someone who already has $400,000 saved. They might see their account jump from $400,000 to $408,000 in a single month from a combination of contributions and market gains. That 8,000 increase feels significant. It feels like progress. It creates momentum. This is the core psychological problem. The first 100K requires maximum discipline during minimum visible progress. The lifestyle inflation trap. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I can just stay disciplined and push through, right? Here is the thing. You are not saving toward 100K in a vacuum. Your life is changing during this 10 to 15 year journey. You start saving at 23. You are making $45,000 a year, living with roommates, driving a 12-year-old car. You save Fay a month and it is tight but manageable. By age Fay, you're making Fay. You've gotten promotions. You've developed skills. And here is what happens to most people. They think, I've been grinding for 5 years. I deserve a nicer apartment. I deserve a reliable car. I deserve to not eat rice and beans every night. So, they upgrade. The apartment goes from $800 month to $1,400 month. They lease a nicer car, $350 month instead of $150. They start eating out more because they're too busy with their better job. And suddenly, even though they're making $20,000 more per year, they're still only saving $500 month. Or worse, they're now saving $300 month because life got more expensive. This is the trap. The timeline to 100K stays the same, or actually gets longer even as your income increases. Look at the data. According to research from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, the median net worth for Americans aged 35 to 44 is only $91,300. These are people who've been working for 15 to 20 years, who've likely seen their incomes double or triple, and most haven't even crossed 100K in net worth. Why? Because lifestyle inflation ate their income growth. The opportunity cost you can't see yet. Here is something that doesn't become clear until later, but it is crushing. Every year you delay hitting 100K is a year you are missing out on exponential growth on that 100K. Let me show you what I mean. Person A reaches 100,000 at age 30. They maintain moderate contributions after that. By age 50, they have approximately 670,000. Person B reaches 100,000 at age 35. Just 5 years later, same contribution rate after hitting the milestone. By age 50, they have approximately 425,000. That 5-year delay cost them $245,000. Nearly $250,000. And here is the brutal part. Those 5 years from 25 to 30 when person A was grinding to hit 100K, they probably weren't fun. They were living below their means while friends were taking vacations and upgrading their lives. But those 5 years of discipline created a $250,000 difference 2 decades later. This is what most people don't realize. The pain of reaching 100K quickly is temporary. The cost of reaching it slowly is permanent. The income problem. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. If you are making $45,000 a year and trying to save $6,000 annually, that is 13.3% of your gross income. After taxes, you are probably taking home around $35,000, which means you are saving 17% of your take-home pay. That is actually aggressive. That is more than most people save. And at that rate, it'll take you about 15 years to hit 100K. Here is the uncomfortable truth. At certain income levels, you cannot save your way to 100K in a reasonable timeline. The math just doesn't work. This is where everyone gets stuck. They think it is about discipline or sacrifice, but sometimes it is actually about income. You can't budget your way out of a low-income problem. If you are making $45,000 and saving 15, you are contributing $6,750 per year. With 7 returns, you'll hit 100K in about 13 years. But if you increase your income to $70,000 and maintain that same 15 savings rate, you are now contributing $10,500 per year. You'll hit 100K in about 8 years. That is 5 years shaved off just from income growth, while maintaining the same savings rate percentage. This is why the path to 100K isn't just about cutting expenses, it is equally about increasing income. But nobody wants to hear that because income growth requires different skills than budgeting. The emergency fund paradox. Look, here is something that screws with everyone on the path to 100K. You are supposed to have 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund before you aggressively invest. That is the standard advice. So let's say your expenses are $3,000 a month. You need $9,000 to $18,000 in cash before you even start seriously investing. You are working toward 100K in net worth, but 15,000 of it is sitting in a savings account earning maybe 1 to 2 instead of being invested at 7 to 10 in the market. This is mathematically correct advice. You need that emergency fund. But psychologically it is brutal because you are watching that cash just sit there while you are trying to build wealth. And here is the paradox. Until you have that emergency fund, you are vulnerable. Any unexpected expense derails your investment contributions. But building that emergency fund delays your progress toward the compound interest inflection point. I've watched people take 3 years just to build their emergency fund, while making minimal investment contributions. They're doing the right thing, but it extends the timeline to 100K significantly. A study from the Pew Research Center found that 54% of Americans say they have less than 3 months' worth of emergency savings. Most people never even get past this first step, which means they never even begin the real journey to 100K. The comparison trap. Here is something that makes the journey even harder. You are 27 years old. You've been saving for 4 years. You've got $28,000 in net worth, and you are proud of it. Then you see someone on social media who is 29 with $150,000 in net worth talking about their investment strategy. And immediately, you feel behind. What you don't see. That person might have inherited $40,000. They might have parents who paid for college so they started with zero debt. They might be in tech, making $120,000, while you are making $55,000 as a teacher. But you don't think about that. You just feel inadequate. This comparison destroys momentum. It makes you feel like you are failing when you are actually doing exactly what you should be doing, given your circumstances. Here is what most people don't realize. Net worth is one of the most context-dependent metrics that exists. Someone with $30,000 in net worth who started with $80,000 in student loan debt is in a completely different situation than someone with $30,000 in net worth who started with a trust fund. But social media strips away all context. You are comparing your full story to someone else's highlight reel, and it is destroying your motivation during the exact phase where you need motivation most. The debt anchor. Look, let's talk about the thing that makes 100K feel impossible for a huge percentage of people. The average student loan debt for bachelor's degree recipients is about $28,000. If you went to grad school, it is probably closer to $50,000 to $100,000. Credit card debt. The average American household with credit card debt carries about $7,000 in balances. Car loans. Average new car loan is around $32,000. So you are not starting at zero. You are starting at negative $35,000 or negative $60,000 or worse. And here's the math that breaks people. If you are $40,000 in debt and you want to get to $100,000 net worth, you actually need to accumulate $140,000 to offset the debt and reach the positive 100K milestone. At $6,000 per year in savings, that is 23 years. 23 years. This is why the first 100K is genuinely brutal for anyone starting with debt. You are not just building wealth. You are digging out of a hole first, and then building wealth. And every dollar of debt you carry is a dollar that is not compounding in your favor. It is actually compounding against you at whatever interest rate you are paying. The action plan that actually works. Alright. Here is what you actually need to do to hit 100K without losing your mind. Step 1. Get brutally honest about your starting point. Calculate your actual net worth right now. Assets minus liabilities. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't avoid it. You need to know your real number. If you are negative, fine. That is your starting point. If you are at 12,000, that is your starting point. No judgment, just clarity. Step 2. Commit to the number, not the timeline. Here is the thing. You cannot control how long it takes to hit 100K. What you can control is your savings rate and your income growth. Stop obsessing over "I want to hit 100K by age 30." If the math doesn't support it, that is just setting yourself up for failure and frustration. Instead, commit to, "I will save 20 of my gross income every month, and I will work to increase my income by 10 per year." The timeline will be whatever it is, but you are controlling the inputs. Step 3. Automate everything. Your path to 100K cannot depend on willpower. Willpower fails. Automatic 401K contributions. Automatic transfers to your Roth IRA. Automatic transfers to your brokerage account. Make it so you never see the money. Make it so the default is saving, not spending. Step 4. Ruthlessly optimize the big 3. You cannot nickel and dime your way to 100K. You need to optimize the 3 expenses that actually matter: housing, transportation, and food. If you are spending $1,800 month on rent, find a way to spend $1,300. That is $500 month extra toward 100K. If you are leasing a $400 month car, drive a $7,000 used car you own outright. That is $400 month extra toward 100K. If you are spending $600 month eating out, cut it to $250. That is $350 month extra toward 100K. Right there, you've freed up $1,250 month without touching coffee or Netflix. Those 3 changes accelerate your timeline by years. Step 5. Treat income growth as seriously as expense reduction. Here is what I wish someone had told me. You need to be as obsessed with increasing your income as you are with cutting expenses. Every $10,000 increase in annual income, if you maintain your current lifestyle, means an extra $10,000 a year toward your goal. Learn new skills. Get certifications. Change jobs every 2 to 3 years if necessary. Negotiate aggressively. Build side income. The difference between hitting 100K at age 35 versus age 42 is almost always income growth, not budget discipline. Step 6. Track and celebrate the milestones. You need psychological wins to maintain momentum for 10 years. Celebrate 10K. Celebrate 25K. Celebrate 50K. Celebrate 75K. Make these milestones visible. Track your progress weekly. Create a visual chart if you need to. Do whatever it takes to make the progress feel real, even when it is slow. Because here is the thing: the progress is happening. You are doing something that most people never do. But if you can't see it and feel it, you'll give up. The timeline reality check. Here's what you need to understand about timing. If you are 25 and making $50,000, saving 15 per year, you'll hit 100K around age 37 to 38. That is 12 to 13 years. If you are 30 and making 65,000, saving 20 per year, you'll hit 100K around age 40. That is 10 years. These timelines feel long because they are long. This is the brutal reality. But here is the perspective shift. Once you hit 100K, going to 200K might only take 5 to 6 years. Then 200K to 300K might take only 4 years. Then 300K to 500K might take only 5 years. You are not stuck in the slow phase forever. You are building a base that accelerates everything that comes after. The first 100K is the foundation. It is supposed to be hard. It is supposed to take time. But it is not permanent. Look, I am not going to lie to you and say the path to 100K is easy or fun or Instagram worthy. It is not. It is going to be 10 to 15 years of living below your means while people around you upgrade their lives. It is going to be watching your account slowly climb while compound interest is barely doing anything. It is going to be moments where you question if it is even worth it. But here is what I know. The people who push through to 100K experience a fundamental shift in their financial lives. Money starts working for them. Options appear. Stress decreases. The game changes completely. And the people who give up at 30K or 50K because it feels too slow, they stay stuck. They're 45 years old, wondering why they're still stressed about money, still living paycheck to paycheck, still unable to retire. The first 100K isn't the hardest because you are doing something wrong. It is the hardest because it requires you to do everything right during the phase where the results are least visible. But those results compound. They build. They create momentum that carries you through the rest of your financial life. So wherever you are at right now, whether you are at 5,000 or 45,000 or 82,000, keep going. The finish line is real. The math works. And the version of you that crosses 100K in net worth is going to be grateful you didn't give up. If this helped you understand why this milestone is so brutal and how to actually reach it, make sure you are subscribed. We're going to keep breaking down the milestones that nobody else talks about. Honestly, I'll see you in the next one.